Namaste, everyone. Welcome to Flow and Restore and Yin Yoga. Happy Monday for those of you joining us live. My name is Michelle Chua, and for this practice, you'll want to have quite a few props just in case, especially for the second half. 2 blocks, a strap, a blanket, and a bolster. And physically, I thought we'd focus quite a bit on a very popularly requested type of posture, ones that help to release tension in the lower spine and the hips. So that might look like hip openings, spinal twists, and forward folds. So let's start in a gentle open-legged posture with your legs in front of you. Now, if you're sitting cross-legged and you find your knees are lifting uncomfortably away from the ground, go ahead and use your pillow or your blanket folded up and sit up high enough on top of that prop so that your knees can drop more easily. This gives the hip flexors some ease. And play with how far apart or close together you're crossing your shins. As you bring the shins more crossing at their middle of the calves, it might be easier. So find an easeful way to physically and mentally arrive in your yoga practice. So I thought we'd go over one of the 9 attitudes of mindfulness as described by author and teacher Jon Kabat-Zinn. As you know, yoga itself is a practice of being present. As the very first sutra of yoga says something to the effect of now begins the practice of yoga. So it's all about being in the now, which is pretty challenging for our minds that have to tend to things day to day with so much stimuli coming from different directions. So what is one of the ways that we can cultivate presence, not only in our physical yoga practice or meditation practice, which we'll spend 5 minutes of in the end, or in our daily lives, so that we can enjoy and really be present in our lives? So one of those attitudes is called a beginner's mind. So think about the first time you ever traveled to a place that you now have grown to love. Can you remember a favorite place that you have and how it felt when you first arrived there? Did you feel excitement, curiosity, a freshness, a newness, like it's going to be a new adventure? Those are some attributes of cultivating a beginner's mind. Now, can you imagine bringing those qualities into things that you do every day? How do we do that? How do we re-inspire that freshness? Here's a story, a Zen parable you may have heard before. A student comes to a famous Zen master and asks for instruction in the way of Zen Buddhism. The master begins to discuss several topics of Buddhism like emptiness and meditation. But the student interrupts the master in an attempt to impress him and says, "Oh, I already know that." The master then invites the student to have some tea. When the tea is ready, the master pours the tea into a teacup, filling it to the brim, spilling tea over the dishes, over the sides of the cup, and onto the table. The student exclaims, "Stop! You can't pour tea into a full cup." The master replies, "Return to me when your cup is empty." Shin Ryu Suzuki, who is a Zen teacher, wrote in his book, "In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are a few." So another aspect of cultivating a beginner's mind in our everyday lives is to let go of the preconceptions that we have of things, of people, the judgments that are not necessary in the moment, and cultivate an attitude of openness, eagerness, and even humility. So I'm going to invite you to play with those qualities and seeing how you might infuse them into yoga postures, like maybe downward facing dog or standing in mountain pose, or sitting right now in easy pose that allows you to experience it from more attention, curiosity, letting go of preconceptions of what your body can and cannot do, but just seeing what is it showing you in the present moment. And we're going to practice that a little more when we're sitting in meditation. So let's begin by becoming acquainted with what's on your plate right now by scanning mentally your physical body. As you let your body rest in stillness, maybe close your eyes. Bring your attention to the very bottom of your body where it makes contact with the surface that's holding it up. Can you sense how your weight is leaning into different parts of your body, even more than others? Can you feel the weight of your pelvis and where that weight is mostly sitting, or is it evenly distributed? Sense any feelings in your torso, along your spine, starting with your lower back. Let's practice letting go of judging what you're sensing is either good or bad. You might simply mentally name them as tension or pulsation or warmth. Feeling your body as a whole, begin to sense the breath without controlling your breath. Becoming curious of the way that you're breathing right now. Sensing if the breath is shallow or deep. And any other qualities that inform you of how you're feeling energetically. Now notice how your mind feels at this moment. Is it feeling easy to focus? Are you feeling naturally present? Is your mind tending to something you have to do later? Or lingering on something that happened in the past? Without judging your mind or yourself as good or bad or right or wrong, just notice it. What are you feeling emotionally? So this practice of surveying the layers of our being is a practice of being present as we're cultivating curiosity and attentiveness, a beginner's mind. Now let's start to deepen the breath, filling up as you slow it down. And maybe open the mouth. You might create a sound, a sigh. Inhaling a little bit deeper, a little slower. And exhaling just as slowly, find the very bottom of the breath when you've emptied any last bit from your lungs. And then try that once again, really deep in and out breath. Can you notice sort of a texture to the breath, an energy to the breath as you're slowing it down? Staying attuned to the feeling of your breath, what is something right now that you can recognize with gratitude? Anything. Gratitude has a magnificent way of opening our perspective. And so now choose an intention that you would like to focus this practice on. What quality are you choosing to cultivate or Is there a particular something in your life that you are currently creating or creating a shift in? And to not stifle that intention with our expectations. And to also remember that our practice is not only to serve us, but the world around us. I invite you to choose someone or something to dedicate today's practice to. And together, let's open the space by chanting to create resonance, the sound of Om 3 times. Let's prepare by inhaling really fully and exhaling through the mouth. So 3 Oms. As we continue to slow the breath down, let's begin a practice that helps focus our attention in the present while calming our nervous system and helping us to balance our energy. It's called Ujjayi Pranayama, or victorious breath. It's done by closing the lips, softly constricting or narrowing the back of the throat, and creating a gentle whispering sound as you're breathing in and out very slowly and evenly through the nose. So listen to a few cycles of that, setting the pace for how we'll move our bodies, especially during the vinyasa flow in the beginning. So let's start with some simple movements along the spine and the hips called Sufi rolls. So as you're sitting up tall, if your legs are crossed, you may want to switch the leg that's forward or on top to balance out your hips. Press your hands down in your lap, press your sitting bones firmly into your seat, and lengthen up through the center of your spine while relaxing the shoulders down. Now listen to the breath. On your next inhale, start to lean your torso as far forward as you can, staying balanced, and circle to your right. As you exhale, lean all the way back and circle to your left. Now let's keep going. A few more circles in this direction. Feel how the weight at the bottom of your pelvis shifts. Just cultivating that sense of attentiveness and curiosity that are qualities of beginner's mind. When you're ready, let's switch direction. And come back to center. Let's place the left fingertips on the floor, raising your right arm up. Relax the shoulders again, sit tall as you breathe in. Now as you exhale, begin to side bend to your left. Pause when you breathe in to root your 2 sitting bones down even more firmly and lift your spine from your hips. As you breathe out, if you can, continue to side bend. You might even lower the left elbow on the floor if that's available, but keep relaxing your shoulders away from your neck. Seal in the bottom of your front ribs and see if you might be able to add a tiny bit of a twist, turning your chest slightly to face the sky. Last 2 deep breaths here in this lateral extension of the spine. On your next inhale, come all the way up, Backstroke your right hand to the ground behind your pelvis and raise your left arm. Sit up a little taller again as you breathe in. Now keep your pelvis still and twist to your right by rotating the rib cage as you breathe out. Then lower your left hand to whatever part of your leg you can reach. You might press the back of the hand against the right thigh. You might hold on to your lap. Again, inhale, lengthen from the base of your spine through each vertebra, through the back of your skull. Keep the shoulders relaxing down, and exhale, continue to twist, even if only by intention, even if not visibly. Notice any sensations you're feeling here, especially along your lower spine or throughout your torso. And with an exhale, release. Let's plant the right fingertips on the ground beside the right hip. Raise your left arm, draw the shoulders down the back, lift up through the center of your head, and then exhale as you side bend to your right. Inhale, pause, press both sitting bones down and lift the spine from the hips. Exhale, if available, continue to side bend. Maybe you lower the right elbow, maybe not. Keep drawing the shoulder blades both down your back ribs. Keep the sides of your neck long. Seal the bottom of your front ribs in towards your back. And see if you can add a tiny bit of a twist, spinning your chest slightly to face the sky for the last couple of breaths. On your next inhale, rise up, plant the left fingertips on the ground behind you, raise the right arm, and keeping the pelvis still, exhale, twist to your left. Lower your right hand, maybe you press the back of it against the left thigh, or you land your hand on your lap. Breathe in, press down with the pelvis, lift up through the crown of your head. Keep relaxing the shoulders, continue to twist just below your lowest ribs. So as we move through different kinds of spinal twists, really paying attention to where you're twisting or directing the twist to happen. I want to focus it across your waistline, and that's why we're keeping the pelvis still here so that we can stabilize the lower back. On an exhale, unwind, and let's make our way to stand at the top of the mat. We'll warm up with some sun salutations. And you might want to have your two blocks in front of your feet for half forward fold if the ground feels too low to reach for. Step your feet apart, hips distance, parallel to each other. And let's begin with a hands in prayer and mountain pose called Padasana. Now remember what your intention is for showing up to your practice today. Let's bring that into how you move your body to your breath. As we offer gratitude to the sun, this great source of energy on this planet, practicing sun salutation C. So empty this breath, continue to listen to that whisper. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and overhead, rolling your shoulders back and down. Exhale, hinge forward from the hips. You might bend the knees to help lengthen the back. Place your fingertips outside of your heels on the floor. Inhale, step the left knee behind you to a kneeling lunge and look up. Hold your breath as you step to plank pose. Exhale, lower your knees, chest, then chin, Ashtangasana. Inhale, slither forward onto the belly and draw your shoulders back in cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes and lift your hips back, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot beside your left thumb. Lower your right knee and gaze up. Exhale, step your right foot forward and bow. Press to your feet. Inhale, rise, arms overhead in Urdhva Hastasana again. Exhale, trace your palms in prayer to your heart center. Second side, inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Lift your heart towards the sun. Exhale, bow forward. Plant your fingertips down. Inhale, step your right knee back. Kneeling lunge, look up. Hold your breath as you step to plank. Exhale as you lower your knees, then your chest, then your chin. Inhale as you slither forward and draw your shoulders back to cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes and lift your hips back, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your right foot beside your right thumb, lower your left knee and gaze up. Exhale, step your left foot forward and bow. Press through the feet. Inhale, rise, arms overhead. Exhale, marry your palms in prayer at the heart. Let's move on to Surya Namaskar A, Sun Salutation A. Inhale, sweep the arms forward, roll the shoulders back. Exhale, bow forward. Press your blocks or the floor. Inhale, lengthen forward into half forward fold. Now carefully step into plank pose and let's pause there for a few breaths on this round, either keeping your legs straight or placing your knees on the ground. Stack your shoulders over your wrists, gaze on the ground ahead of your thumbs, and lift the sides of the belly. One more breath in. As you exhale, glide forward this time as far as you can before lowering halfway down, grazing your elbows by your ribs in Chaturanga Dandasana. Then choose to lower all the way down or come into upward facing dog. So cobra or upward dog as you breathe in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now allow your body to move any way it might need to for several breaths here to help loosen it up. Like you might pedal your feet gently in place. You might swivel your hips side to side. You might shake out your head to relax your neck. When you've emptied the next breath, then walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat into a forward fold. Press with your hands. Inhale, lengthen your spine forward. Exhale, fold in. Press with your feet. Inhale, rise all the way up, lifting your heart towards the sun. Exhale, marry your palms in prayer at the heart. Once again, inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, gazing up. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, half forward fold. Step back to plank and exhale, decide knees, chest, chin, or glide forward to Chaturanga to lower and continue in your vinyasa, breathing in as you lift the chest. Breathing out as you lift the hips, downward facing dog. This time when you arrive in Adho Mukha Svanasana, let your body be still. Notice any new sensations you might be experiencing this round in downward dog as you slow down your breath. 2 more cycles of breath. Now, when you've emptied the next one, on your next inhale, raise your right leg behind you. And as you exhale, bend the knee high towards your nose. Softly step the foot beside your right thumb. Stay on the ball of the left foot. High lunge. Feet are hips width apart, parallel to each other. Now, without moving your legs, imagine the feeling as if you're dragging your feet towards each other. Create that energy in the muscles in the legs, and inhale, rise up to crescent lunge. Now let's bring the hands to the hips for a moment. Direct your left hip to face forward just as much as your right hip is. Bending the front knee right on top of the heel as you tack the right hip back. Now, to help balance and to lengthen the spine, draw your tailbone downward and slightly lift your frontal hip bone so your lower abdomen is engaged. So the pelvis is shaped like a bowl. Imagine that bowl sitting upright on a table in a neutral position, not spilling forward. Now, as you keep that energy in the legs, as if you're dragging them towards each other, raise the arms when you're ready and feel more stability to balance. Steady your gaze on one focal point just ahead of you. That also helps to balance. And let's listen to 3 more breaths here. Okay, just playing a little bit more with balance here. Start to shift your weight onto your right foot. And we're going to stand on just the right leg, bending the left knee in front of you. So drag the left foot forward, bend the left knee in front of you, flex the left foot. Now turn out the left thigh at the hip, and let's come into tree pose. So hands can be in prayer at the heart. Place the sole of your left foot, hug the inside of your right ankle where you can keep the toes on the floor. If your balance feels pretty stable there, then you might, if your hip is willing, slide the left foot higher to your inner right calf. Or you might take hold of the left ankle and place the foot against your inner thigh. Now remember that bowl shape of your pelvis. If it's tilting higher on the left side, that's easy to fall out of balance. So even though the left leg is lifted, try to draw the left sitting bone down towards your inner right heel and really feel the ground with your right foot. Can you press the ground away actively so you can feel a little more stable as you, if you do, you might raise the arms overhead if you want to add some challenge to your balance. Now, remember how important your breathing is for regulating your own inner state of balance. Let's listen to 2 more breaths here in Vrikshasana. All right, let's bring the hands together at the heart. Bend your left knee in front of you. Flex the foot. Pause. Breathe in. Slowly as you can, exhale, step the ball of your left foot all the way back to crescent lunge. Once you arrive, pause, breathe in. Exhale, hands to the floor, step right into downward facing dog, and let your body be still for 2 breaths there. Steadying your gaze or drishti. Notice how this posture feels now. What feels different than just a moment ago? Cultivating that curiosity and attentiveness of a beginner's mind. Inhale, raise your left leg back. Exhale, bend the knee high towards your nose. Softly step the foot beside your left thumb. Stay on the ball of your right foot. High lunge. Keep your hands down for a moment and make sure your feet are as wide apart as your hips. You're not balancing on a tightrope. And your feet are parallel to each other. The back heel is lifted. If it helps, you can bend the back knee too. Now imagine the feeling as if you're dragging your feet towards each other without visibly moving your feet. So create that energy in your legs and then start to rise, place your hands on your hips. Now let's equally face both frontal hip bones forward. So the right hip draws forward, the left hip slightly tacks back while you're bending your left knee directly above your left ankle. Feel the bowl shape of your pelvis. Is it upright? Is it spilling forward? Try to find that neutral sitting upright. Tailbone lengthening down, slightly lifting frontal hip bone so your lower abdomen is engaged and helps to lengthen the spine. And then when you're ready, arms overhead. Shoulders relax, steady gaze. Slow breath in. Clearing breath out. 2 more breaths. Start to shift your weight onto your left foot. Let's join the hands in prayer at your heart. Drag the right foot forward. Come to stand on the left leg as you flex the right foot, bending the knee in front of you. Take a moment to balance the bowl shape of your pelvis. Draw the right sitting bone down towards the inner left heel. Then turn out your right thigh at the hip, tree pose. Hug the sole of your right foot to start against your inner ankle so you can keep the toes on the ground for support as you're finding your balance. If you've already found your balance, you might bring your foot to your inner calf or your inner thigh. How is your breathing supporting outer balance through inner balance? Vrikshasana, tree pose. One more breath here. This time, let's exit by setting the right foot next to the left foot. Mountain pose at the front of the mat. You might rest a hand to your heart center at the middle of your chest and a hand at your lower belly. Maybe close the eyes for 3 breaths. Just tune in. What are you noticing in your body? What are you noticing in any way that you're feeling? Being curious without needing to judge what you notice. All right, before we enter the yin and restorative parts of our practice, let's place one more back bend. So come on to the center of your mat and have a seat. And let's prepare for one round of bridge pose that we can hold for 5 to 10 breaths. And the way we're going to come into bridge pose is going to be helpful for stretching the lower back. And to support the lower back even more, let's grab a block. Take the skinniest width or medium width, depending on how you can have your knees, your hips distance apart, and hug that between your knees and thighs. Then separate your feet as wide apart as your knees and see that your feet are parallel to each other. Keep them that way and come all the way down to your back. With your arms down by your sides, ground your shoulders and tilt your chin slightly back. Slide your heels towards you until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not quite. Press your feet entirely into the ground. Continue hugging the block. Center on your breath. So let's keep the pelvis on the floor for as long as you can while you begin tilting your tailbone up to point at the block. You feel that contraction in your lower abdomen? Keep doing that. You might feel a contraction in the glutes too. Keep doing that. Now, when you're ready, you can no longer point the tailbone any higher. Then start to lift the hips slowly and keep the feet still, but imagine you're dragging your heels towards your glutes while you actively stretch the fronts of your thighs forward. Then walk your upper arms closer together under your back ribs. Keep the arms straight. If the hands happen to touch, you can interlace the fingers. Press down with your outer upper arms. So counting your own breath cycles, go for 5 to 10 breaths here before you use an exhalation to gently lower your spine and pelvis. Remember to tilt your chin slightly back to open your throat for the breath to easily flow. Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, bridge pose. When you're ready to gently imagine you're kissing the earth one vertebra at a time. Tailbone lands last. Once the tailbone meets the ground, let's put the block aside and set your feet apart on the mat about wider than your hips distance apart. Maybe as wide as the width of your mat. And you can rest your hands on your belly or arms apart. Inhale, keep your feet where they are and drop your knees slowly to your right, as far as they'll go. Exhale, drop your knees slowly to your left. So continue on your own breath pace to windshield wiper your shins side to side for several more breaths. Just giving your glutes and your lower back a little massage. So as we slow things down a bit more, inviting more of that yin energy of less doing, less efforting, and more relaxing and allowing and receiving. Notice how it feels to make this transition. Next time you drop your knees to the right, leave them there and we'll stay for about 10 breaths. Point your left knee. So if your knees are to the right, point your left knee down the midline of your mat. And notice any sensations around the left side of your pelvis, like the left side of your lower back or the front of your left hip. If you're not noticing much sensation there, then you could add crossing your right ankle just above your left knee. You might feel more happening there. If it's too much, you can always replace the leg. You could also play with raising your arms overhead and holding opposite elbows with your hands, dropping the arms back, relaxing the shoulders down the back. Sense how deep you're breathing now. You can come back to that intentional, long, even, whispering breath through the nose. We're here for about 5 more breaths. Start to unwind and bring your feet again about mat width apart with knees bent, knees as wide apart as the feet. And just pause there for a moment, couple of breaths. Just let your body unwind from that twisting posture as you notice it. Now let's keep the feet where they are and drop your knees gently to your left side. Adjust your right leg if needed so that your right knee is tracing the center line of your mat. Pause here and notice anything you're feeling around the right side of your hips and lower back. Your body might be asking you to stay here or to explore further, in which you might place the left ankle above your right knee. And if you were crossing your arms earlier, try switching the cross of the arm on top. Notice if that feels any different, maybe in the shoulders. Notice how your breathing sounds right now. And notice if any sensations in your body shift in any way within the next 5 breaths of being here. And let's start to unwind again. Step your feet on the mat, about mat width apart. Have the knees apart. Just come back to a more neutral position and rest there for a few breaths, just observing. Does anything feel different this time around? Maybe yes, maybe no. Now keep your feet where they are and drop your knees together so they touch. Broadening across your lower back here. Let's broaden across the upper back too. So bend your elbows apart like a cactus shape and cross your right elbow on top of your left elbow, making eagle arms. You might hook your thumbs, you might wrap your forearms in palms, or you might give yourself a hug. So we're splaying the shoulder blades wider apart, and at the same time, slide your shoulder blades down your back away from your neck. Only a few breaths before we switch arms. Let's uncross the elbows and place the left elbow over the right, hooking your thumbs or wrapping your forearms and palms. Glide the shoulder blades down the back. Where might your body be calling your attention the most right now? Maybe through a strong sensation or a subtle one. You might respond to it by picturing the breath entering that space. A breath of awareness. And release the arms. Let's draw the right knee into your chest and slide your left leg forward, flat on the ground. Hugging the knee towards the right outer side of your rib cage. You might circle your right foot in both directions while we're here for a few deep breaths in Ekapada Apanasana, the one-legged version of wind relieving pose. Literally wind relieving pose. All right, let's press the left hand on the top of your left thigh to try to keep the back of your left hip glued to the ground. Now imagine your right leg going into a happy baby pose. Bring your right arm into the inner side of your right thigh, and with your right hand, hold your right shin or outer foot and lift the sole of the foot to face the sky. Bending the right knee further out to the right side of your shoulder. Keep the shoulders on the ground, both hips on the ground, and let's tune in for a few more breaths. All right, let's bend the left knee again. Step your left foot on the floor, rotate your right thigh to turn out, and flexing your right foot, cross the right ankle on top of your left thigh, like a figure four shape. Keep your left foot on the floor, and using your right hand, gently press away the top of your right thigh to splay the right thigh open. Keep your head relaxed on a pillow or on the floor, shoulders grounded. Notice any sensations in your lower back here or your hip. Now, your body might be asking you to stay here if there's plenty of sensations happening, or you might go further to explore, threading your right hand between your thighs, and with two hands, holding your left thigh or shin, slowly bring the left leg towards you. But keep splaying your right thigh open so that your right kneecap is pointing towards your right wall, not towards your chest. As you flex the right foot, see that your right toes are spread back towards the right shin. This helps to stabilize your right knee. Thread the needle. Let's stay for another 5 to 7 breaths here. Now keep your right leg on top and remove your arms until they're wide open on the floor. Let's wrap the right leg more over the left leg, like you're bringing the legs into eagle pose. Slide your hips towards the right edge of your mat, preparing for a supine spinal twist. As you open the right arm out to the right, ground your right shoulder. You might gaze towards it. Lift your feet and begin to drop your knees slowly to your left side. Knees to the left. Right shoulder stays on the ground. If the right shoulder wants to lift away from the ground, you might catch your legs with your pillow or your blanket or your blocks. If your lower back is asking for a deeper release, you can place the left hand on your right outer hip. And as you breathe out, press the right outer hip away from you towards the front edge of your mat. Just tune in for several more breaths. And on your next exhale, unwind your spine, uncross your legs and center your pelvis on your mat. Stretch the legs flat on the ground, raise the arms overhead, and take a long stretch up and down the body for a few breaths. Maybe you shake your head no. Maybe you circle out your hands or your feet. Keep your right leg where it is. Bend your left knee into your chest. Ekapada Apanasana. Start to hug the left knee more to the left outer side of your ribs. Maybe circling your left foot at the ankle in both directions. Press your right palm on the top of your right thigh to root down the back of your right hip. Keep your left knee bent and bring your left arm on the inner side of your left thigh, taking hold of your left outer foot or calf. Lift the sole of your left foot to face the sky as you draw the left knee down towards the ground outside of your left shoulder. Imagine your left leg only is in happy baby pose. Let's breathe here. Now let's bend the right knee, set your right foot on the ground, turn out your left thigh at the hip, and as you flex your left foot to stabilize your left knee, cross your left ankle on top of your right thigh, creating a figure four shape in your legs. Now keep the right foot on the ground, and with your left palm, begin to gently press open the top of your left thigh. Notice what you're feeling here in your left hip, in your lower back, or elsewhere. Paying attention to how your body is making its requests from you. Either stay here or explore further by threading the left hand between your thighs and with two hands taking hold of your right thigh or right shin. Then gradually bring the right leg closer to your chest. While still splaying open the left knee, you can nudge the thigh with your left arm and still flexing your left foot. Several more breaths. Thread the needle. Now let's wrap the left leg over the right leg like you're in eagle pose and slide your hips closer to the left edge of your mat. Open your left arm wide on the ground and make sure the left shoulder stays on the ground. You might gaze past it. Lift your feet and start to drop your knees to your right side into a supine spinal twist. Remember, you could support your legs with a block or pillow or whatever configuration of props. And if your lower back is needing a deeper release, you can place the right hand on your left outer hip. And as you exhale, press it away from you, tilting it gently towards the front edge of your mat. And with an exhale, unwind, come back to center, uncross your legs. Bend your knees into your chest and begin to rock in any direction or circle the legs. Find a gentle way to eventually rise to sit in a comfortable posture for a brief pranayama before we rest in Shavasana. This pranayama is a helpful technique for, well, all the pranayamas are helpful techniques for cultivating presence, present moment awareness, but this one also particularly helps to relax the nervous system, especially in moments of stress or feeling triggered. You can practice this and it can help bring clarity to your mind and a feeling of grounding. So another way to create a feeling of grounding is through a mudra with the hands, where you bring the thumb and the first fingers to touch and you rest your palms face down in your lap. If you like, you can use that mudra while we're practicing Samavriti Pranayama, which means box breathing. So sit tall where you can breathe well and let the shoulders relax back and down. Remember, if it's helpful, elevate your pelvis on a prop. And as we're practicing box breathing, you might close your eyes. That helps you to concentrate more. Box breathing goes like this. We'll be closing the lips and breathing through the nose very gently now, no longer creating that whispering sound. We'll inhale for a count of 4, hold the breath while relaxing for a count of 4, exhale a count of 4, and hold the breath while relaxing for a count of 4. So that's one cycle. Let's try 3 cycles together and 2 cycles on your own. So prepare to begin by first breathing in fully and clearing it out through the mouth. Now close the mouth and let's begin. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Second cycle. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Third cycle. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Third cycle. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. Continue 2 more cycles. Take your time finishing at your pace. When you are finished, relax to natural breathing and observe how you feel. As you're ready to, very gently lower your body to the ground. Find a comfortable way to lie down and rest for a few minutes in stillness. Closing the eyes, breathing naturally, and gifting yourself your presence in Shavasana. Rest here a little longer with your eyes closed. And I invite you into just noticing how your physical body feels, how it's responding to your physical yoga. Then start with something very subtle. Begin to move a small part of your body gently, like rubbing your thumbs across your fingertips, adding that quality of beginner's mind by being curious. And as you move one part and then another, gradually easing into a stretch, noticing the nuances of how these movements feel. Eventually, Find your way onto your right side, turning over, resting your head to pause for a few moments. Notice your breathing just as it is. How do you feel now energetically? Feel the effects of your practice. And then take your time eventually lifting your body upright. Please find again a comfortable way to sit tall, where you can feel grounded and relaxed, heart space open, and I invite you to sit for 5 minutes in a guided meditation, cultivating a beginner's mind with our bodies. So find a comfortable stillness. You might help to concentrate by closing the eyes. You might also stack the right palm face up on top of the left palm face up, with thumb tips gently touching on the center of your lap. Just feeling an inner a connectedness and support for focusing. And I invite you to continue to breathe naturally. Start by just feeling the flow of the breath wherever you can detect it in your body easily. Without any need to control the breath. Imagine as though you were granted this physical body for the first time, like these were the first few minutes in this human body of yours now. I invite you to that spark of curiosity and openness and eagerness to just feel out this new bodysuit. So as you continue to sit in stillness, let your attention rise to the top of your head. Become more aware of any subtle or not so subtle sensations on your scalp. Do you feel anything around the back of your skull? Sense the skin on your forehead as you are relaxing the eyes and the muscles around them. Notice if you can feel anything behind your ears, tracing your awareness down your jawline to your chin. Can you feel the alive energy in your mouth? Sense the muscles of your tongue. Feel your nostrils. Maybe you feel the cool air of the in-breath. You might allow this beginner's mind attitude of eagerness to generate a gentle, subtle smile, slightly lifting the corners of your lips, cultivating the energy in your neck as you notice any sensations at your throat. Feeling around the back of your neck, down to the tops of your shoulders. And I invite you to continue in silence, to mentally scan very slowly, one by one, the other parts of your body. Really sensing with curiosity as though you were in your hands, you were in your forearms. If you encounter any judgments of your body or preconceived notions, just notice that. Give those thoughts a smile and let them go. Cultivate the beginner's mind again. Now notice how you feel mentally and emotionally. You might join your palms together at your heart, taking a moment to offer gratitude for anything that you would like to recognize. As we integrate our practice into our daily lives where it's most meaningful, in what ways can you treat the ordinary with newness, curiosity, humility, eagerness, an open mind, a beginner's mind? I invite you to play with that throughout your week and notice how you feel at the end of the day as you reflect on the day. Remind yourself of what your intention was for this practice. And also remember to whom or what you dedicated this practice. And together, let's join our voices to close, chanting Om 3 times. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.